Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm a mom of 2 little girls. I have a 5-year-old named Kylie, and I also have a 3-year-old named Mia. Now, I am incredibly grateful to be in a position where I'm able to talk to many parents all over the world about their own journeys into Montessori parenting. I get lots of questions and comments and things to consider, and oftentimes I find that some of the questions I receive almost feel like they're just kind of scratching the surface of Montessori. And I really do my best to try to help find ways to ground these parents and bring them back to the foundations of Montessori and what it's really about. And over the last couple of weeks, that's got me really thinking about what really is the most important part? What things should you really be thinking about on a daily basis as a Montessori parent? And that is exactly what the focus of today's video is going to be. So from one busy parent to another, today I would like to share with you 5 daily reminders for Montessori parents. So these 5 daily reminders that I would like to offer you as a Montessori parent are really like the bread and butter of doing Montessori at home with your children. These are the big picture things that matter at the end of the day, and there are things that honestly I wish somebody would have shared with me at the very beginning of my own Montessori journey. So I'm really excited to share them with you today. But before we get started, I just wanted to share a quick message with you from today's video sponsor, kiwico. kiwico is defining the future of play by making it engaging, enriching, and seriously fun. With super cool projects, experiments, and products designed to expose kids to concepts in STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math, kiwico is the ultimate resource for hands-on learning anywhere. Each monthly crate is designed by experts and tested by kids to fully explore a new theme. kiwico offers 9 subscription lines, each catering to different age groups and topics, from babies and toddlers to teens and even adults. In our home, we've enjoyed the Koala Crate for ages 2 to 4, and more recently, the Kiwi Crate for ages 5 to 8. Every box comes with the tools, materials, and inspiration to explore that month's project. And with detailed, kid-friendly instructions, plus an educational magazine filled with additional content, the learning and inspiration goes well beyond the crate itself. As you guys know, we've been big fans of kiwico in our home for a few years now. As a mom, I love them because the crates come with special tools and materials to create projects that are expertly designed and kid-tested, so I don't have to worry about DIY projects that don't quite work out. And my girls love them because not only do they learn something new every month, but it also provides them with hours of hands-on enriching entertainment, a total win all around in our Montessori home. To save 50% off your first month of kiwico, be sure to visit the link in the description box down below and use code HAPAFAMILY. So oftentimes, you'll hear the Montessori approach referred to as an education for life. And these are Dr. Montessori's own words. And what this means is that, yes, the physical materials, the academic curriculum, the shelves, all of those things do serve an important role in the Montessori approach, but they are just one part of it. There are actually 3 parts in total. There's the environment, there's the adult, and then there's the child. It's like a little triangle, if you will. And all of those components interact with each other in some way. And what I would like to draw your attention to today is past that environmental piece, because I think that's where a lot of parents get stuck, especially in the beginning. What we really need to focus on, what's most important, especially in the context of a home environment, is that adult and child piece. We are aiming to create an environment for our children where they are both respected and empowered as individual human beings. And if this is our goal as Montessori parents, then we really do need to take a moment to just pause and look beyond the shelf and think about what really matters most at the end of the day. And so this is where I have come up with 5 daily reminders, things that I would hope that you would be thinking about as a Montessori parent, somewhere in the back of your mind as you go about the course of your day, every day with your children. So the first reminder that I would like to offer you to this end is to build independence gradually. I think there is a misconception out there that our goal in Montessori is to build our children's independence as quickly as possible so that they can do everything by themselves and then they don't need our help anymore. And that's not exactly how it works. Really, it is a much more slow, gradual process that occurs over a period of time as our children show readiness for certain things. You know, when they're infants, they start out by being completely dependent on us, and we are modeling all of the things that we eventually hope for them to absorb and do for themselves down the line. And then as they become a little bit more capable, once they are mobile or toddlers, and they have the ability to do things alongside of us, we move from dependence into this period of cooperation where we are actively doing things together. We're still modeling, of course, but our child is now able to be an active participant in that process. And then with enough practice, eventually our children move to the stage of being independent and they are able to do some things by themselves. Does that mean that they'll always be able to do those things on their own? No, they are most certainly going to need our help from time to time. That's okay. That's just part of life. Even adults need help sometimes. But the idea is that we are looking at it on a much larger time frame than I think most people really consider. And then the other part of building their independence is making sure that we offer plenty of opportunities for our child to feel autonomous, to make choices for themselves. So that's where a lot of those little choices when they're very young come in. Do you want the blue cup or the pink cup? What bedtime story would you like to read today? Which pajamas are you going to wear? Lots of little age-appropriate choices that they're able to make here and there throughout a day so that they feel like they have some measure of control over what's going on in their lives. But then as they grow older, we can begin to start offering them greater amounts of control and choice in the things that they're doing. They can have greater responsibility. It's very much a slow, gradual release as our children become individuals, separate from us. They have their own thoughts and opinions. They develop their will. And it is ultimately the road that they need to take in order to develop self-discipline. The next reminder is to lean into practical life. Now, many parents, like I said, they get hung up on the shelf and the activities and things like that, and they completely forget that practical life is a huge part of the Montessori approach, even more so at home because it's so readily available and it does compose a good chunk of the activities that occur in a home throughout the day. Not to mention, our children want to feel like valued, contributing members of the family. So why not offer them purposeful work that allows them to contribute to the family in a meaningful way? And while we're at it, we make sure that we offer them real tools to complete these tasks. We're not offering them some plastic, kid-friendly version of the task that imitates a close replica of the real thing. We're giving them real tools. We're giving them real experiences that they can feel like, hey, I'm a part of the team here. I'm doing the same thing that I see everybody else doing, because that is really what gets them excited about doing that kind of work. We also want to make sure that we show our children how to do these tasks and not just tell them. Dr. Montessori said, do not tell them how to do it. Show them how to do it and do not say a word. If you tell them, they will watch your lips move. If you show them, they will want to do it themselves. And there's actually a really great acronym out there in the Montessori community to help you remember this. And the acronym is the word SHOW. It stands for Slow Hands Omit Words. So you're remembering to move your hands very slowly and carefully so your child can watch what you're doing and really focus on the motions and the movements. And then you're omitting words at least as much as possible, if not completely, so that they're not distracted and trying to look at you while you're talking. They're just really focused on the motions that they need to remember. So again, practical life activities are a huge component of Montessori at home. I would encourage you to not think of your list of daily chores as this, to-do list that you need to check off in isolation, separate from your child so that you can get back to playing with them. Instead, recognize it as meaningful work, opportunities for your child to become involved in the daily ebb and flow of your home, not only as a means of actually learning how to do these tasks so that when they're adults, they're able to do them by themselves, but also to give them opportunities for concentration, to allow them to feel that sense of accomplishment, and again, to feel like they are a valuable member of your family. The third daily reminder that I'd like to offer you is to focus on hands-on learning and play, especially in those first crucial 6 years of your child's life, the period of the absorbent mind. The Montessori approach is very much a sensorial approach to learning because we recognize that our children learn best when they're able to use a variety of their different senses in conjunction with one another to help make those really important connections between their mind, their intellect, and their bodies, what they're actually doing in their movements. As Dr. Montessori famously said, the hands are the instruments of man's intelligence. So it is our role to find as many opportunities as possible to allow our child to use their hands and to use their whole bodies as a part of their learning and exploration experiences. And so it really comes down to us as the adults to be creative and to find ways to ignite our child's interests. You know, that's where that phrase in the Montessori community, to follow the child, that's where that comes from. We're looking to our child for information about what that next step should be. What is really going to gain and sustain our child's attention the best? And so depending on your personally available amount of time and resources, it might make sense to invest in resources like kiwico, for example, to help make this a little bit easier for you. Or maybe you are the DIY type and you prefer to stay up for many hours hunting and looking for those perfect resources and materials to put together, and then to be able to sit back and watch the fruits of your labor. But whatever avenue you choose, ultimately what it comes down to is making sure that we are trying to find ways to provide that really crucial hands-on learning for our child. And I also think it's important to note that amid all of this hands-on learning that's ideally occurring, that as parents, we're also being hyper vigilant about making sure that we're really protecting our child's concentration. We are fostering as many opportunities as possible for our child to focus and concentrate on a task that they have selected, because eventually this is what is going to lead them down that road towards self-discipline. And so we want to do everything in our power to avoid interrupting our child needlessly with praise and comments, corrections, criticisms, asking questions, or trying to get them to move on to the next activity before they're quite ready to do so. We want to try to avoid that as much as possible, because every single one of those times leads to a break in our child's concentration. Now, I know life happens. Sometimes we have to stop them from doing what they're doing, but I'm saying whenever it is reasonable for us to actually step back and allow our child that time to concentrate on a task that they have selected themselves, that is where the best kind of learning is going to happen. And finally, when it comes to opportunities for hands-on learning and really deep concentration, do not forget about making time for outdoor, unstructured play every day, or at least as often as possible, given your personal situation. Nature provides some of the best kinds of sensorial exploration for children that, honestly, you would be hard-pressed to try to recreate on a tray, on a shelf, inside of your home. So if you're really after that deep concentration, sometimes the easiest way to get that, or at least to kickstart it if it's not something that your child is accustomed to, is to get them outside. Be outside in nature, spend time out there, make sure you have the appropriate gear so that you can enjoy it no matter what kind of weather you have. And the more often you do that, the more benefits you're going to see for your child. I am a very strong advocate for the idea that having your children outside and learning out in nature is just as important as the shelf work that your child might be doing inside of your home on any given day. Now, the fourth daily reminder that I have for you is to talk less and listen more, which I know is a tall order. Trust me, I know exactly how you feel. But one of the best ways that we can start to practice this is to just slow down. And I mean like immensely slow down, because as adults, we talk way too fast. We move way too fast. Our minds and our daily rhythms just go way too fast for most children to be able to keep up with. They just naturally have a much slower pace. And so if we can learn to slow things down, slow life down just a little bit to help meet them where they are, then we're naturally going to find that we are doing a lot less talking and we are spending more time listening to our child. Another way that we can talk less and listen more is to make a conscious effort to observe and wait instead of needlessly interrupting our child. I already briefly touched on this a bit earlier when I mentioned how we are always butting in with little bits of praise or questions, comments, criticisms, corrections, things like that. And we really need to slow our roll in that department and just be quiet sometimes and sit on our hands and bite our tongues and just watch what it is that our child's doing so that they can maintain a focus on the task at hand. But aside from that, there's another really good benefit of observing and waiting. It allows us to see our child for who they are, to see all that they're capable of doing, and to really focus in on what is very clearly in front of us, what tasks they're currently working to master, what kinds of skills they're in the process of developing in the here and now. And so what it actually does when we observe and wait is it affords us extra time to put on our own detective hats so that we can, again, garner that really good information about what it is that we're seeing and then use it to our advantage to help tweak the environment when we need to make it as engaging for our children as we can. I think one of the best pieces of advice that Dr. Montessori ever left for us was wait while observing. That is the motto of the educator. And I would argue that should also be the motto of the parent as well. But of course, that's all well and good, except we do need to talk sometimes. And so when we do need to talk, we want to make sure that we're focusing on providing our children with rich language experiences. We want to speak to them with normal vocabulary like we would use with another adult in our authentic voices, so we don't need to baby talk with our children. And we also want to engage them in meaningful conversations. It doesn't always just have to be about the red cup or the blue cup, you know? We can talk to them about real things that are going on for them, things that they're experiencing, and really tune in and listen to what they're feeling underneath and what their perceptions are about the world. And if we listen close enough, we might actually learn something. And finally, the fifth daily reminder that I would like to leave you with today is to embrace every moment and mistake. I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again. As adults, we are so rushed. We are constantly just trying to get from point A to point B, check off all the to-dos on our daily checklist, get the kids in bed, you know, just to go to sleep and wake up and do it all over again. And I 100% understand that, you know, season of life. I'm in it right now too. And unfortunately, the result of that is that sometimes we just forget to stop and pause and take some time to appreciate the little things, to really step back and watch our child and marvel at the incredible accomplishments that they've already made in their very young lives. You know, if you think about it, a baby is born not able to really move very much. They can't talk. They can't do anything except eat, sleep, cry, and poop. And by 3 years old, they are running around rampant all over the place. They have all but mastered their little bodies, and they have learned all of the nuances of an entire language, and they're able to communicate with us and express themselves. And it's just incredible if you really think about it, because no adult could do what a child between 0 and 3 years does, even if it took them an entire adult lifespan. And so what I'm getting at here is, instead of always being caught up in the daily grind, trying to make an effort to pause sometimes, to practice mindful presence, to just sit down with our child, turn our phones off, allow no distractions, and to just be with them in the moment. You know, children are so good at being in the moment. They're not thinking about what happened last week. They're not thinking about the doctor appointment that's coming up in 3 days. They're not thinking about the mountain of dishes that are sitting in the sink. They are just here now. And it's such an incredible gift that they have, that they are more than happy to share with us if we are only willing to allow them. So practice being mindfully present when you can. And while you're at it, don't forget to share the wonder with them. You know, as adults, we have all these experiences already that things aren't quite as fascinating to us anymore. But we have to remember that for our children, so many of these experiences that you're going through together are first experiences for them. And so it is magical. You know, it takes their breath away. They're speechless sometimes, and they're just like, oh, wow, did you see that? And how lucky are we that we get to be along that journey with our child, to be next to them, to share that sense of wonder and awe with them about the world. And then finally, I do think it is also important to learn how to embrace our mistakes, because mistakes are just a part of life. We make mistakes, our children are going to make mistakes. And the great thing about that is our children don't need us to be perfect. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. Montessori is, "Of all things, love is the most potent." And I wholeheartedly believe that, because our children are so incredibly forgiving of our mistakes. They know that we are human, and I think it's important for them to see us make mistakes, because then that opens up opportunities for us to show them how to make amends and how to work together to find solutions, which is a life skill that our children are going to use going into adulthood. And so, you know, who better to teach them that than the person who has some of the most important influence on their development when they're young? That's us. And so it's important to see mistakes as learning opportunities. Humans naturally are wired to like hone in on the wrong in things and to hone in on mistakes. But there is this culture of it's not okay to make mistakes. that is very prevalent nowadays. And it does take a little bit of rewiring on our part in our brains to really learn to see mistakes as not something bad, but as like a silver lining. It's again an opportunity for learning going forward. And that's a message that we really want to pass on to our children. All right, friends, so I hope you found these 5 daily reminders for Montessori parents to be helpful. If you did, then please give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like more practical tips and advice for implementing Montessori at home with your children, then you might also consider subscribing to my channel. This way you don't miss a new video. My new book, The Montessori Home, Create a Space for Your Child to Thrive, is now available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon and in all major book retailers. I also have several e-courses, an online community just for Montessori parents, and I also do live video coaching sessions. So links to all of those resources are in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.